3 tips for a better Bengquan. Tip number 1, car braking energy. Boom. Tip number 2, cut your stomach open. Tip number 3, find something solid to test your structure. Before I tell you about those tips and how to use them, what is Bengquan? Bengquan is one of the 5 fists of Xingyi. Essentially, it's just punching, right? I'll bring it back down to simple ideas. It's punching, backhand, front hand. Different people do it different ways, but that's what it comes down to. I'm using Bengquan as an example because people like it. Because people go, oh, I've got so much power in my Bengquan. How do you get that power? Some people try and get it by doing it really hard and explosively every time. And other people go, oh, I should just feel my chi and wait for the power to come. There's some merit in both approaches. I'm not going to slag anyone off today. But there are also some tips which you can use to improve how you get there and vary the amount of power that you use. I'm just going to focus on this part of Bengquan for this. Now, the first one is car braking energy. So what do I mean by that? You have a car that's going along, and then you put the brakes on, the tyres stop, but the chassis goes forward a little bit more. So what you're doing is you put your whole body in motion, you put the brake on, here are my tyres, they're a bit dirty, never mind, and the momentum of the body has to go forward. You then use your structure in your mind and so on to channel that momentum into your hand. So forward, channel the momentum. You can try and do this going really fast, but you might have a bit more sensitivity if you just drop. So you can see that my foot stops my body from going forward and then I let that weight, power go into the hand. That's the basic idea. You can play with that. Second one, cut your stomach open. Lots of martial arts people in punching, karate, they talk about hikite, say it's the rear hand which counts. But a lot of time if you give people the cue of pull your rear hand back to have more power in your front hand, they'll do something like this. Right? You can see there's zero connection happening because the connection to this front hand has to come through my body. So by cutting your stomach open, basically put your fist on your belly and go you have much more capacity or chance of just transferring that force from here into your front hand. So boom, boom. Lots of people in internal martial arts have the idea you've got to move your body to move your hands. Sometimes, and often, it's actually the opposite, because if I try and move my body to my hands, it's just weird. How often do you actually do that in daily life? But if I use my hand to move my body, which is the case here, it becomes much more natural and easier to feel it. Third one. Excuse the dogs. They found something to bark at. Third one, use something solid for your structure. So you can put yourself in position, check your elbows in position, shoulder position, head, maybe push back with your back away from the point of contact so you'll have 6 directional power, that kind of thing. But then add a little bit of force, and the way I like to do that is also the stomach cutting. So a little bit of this, and I'll be able to add force, test where my structure is beginning to break. Now if I was super powerful, of course I would go straight through this beam, but do you know anyone who does that? I don't. But I can feel when I add the power what's happening inside of my body to absorb it. And I can also feel what's happening with the use of the stomach cutting or the car braking to create the power. There you go. 3 tips for a better Bengquan. Bengquan is Xingyi, but you get a lot of these kinds of forms in I-Bagua. Punching is a universal martial idea. So, hope it's useful for you. If you like it, then there's a lot more. Take a look down below.